Art fine. Art fine. Art fine, yeah. Art baby, so doggone fine. Watch him on TV all the time. Whoa, whoa, yeah. Art fine. He thrills me.
Yeah.
And all of the experiences in it are taken straight from, like he goes down to...
We're talking about the Big Lebowski, yeah?
He goes down to like Bay City, and they tell him, "Don't ever come back here." You know, yeah, there's
So
all,
it's
you know.
Yeah, but okay, so it's based on something else, but how can I enjoy it if I don't know what it's based on? In other words, you're telling me it's good because it was based on
Well,
something.
I think it stands up on its own, but,
You know what it
but
was?
the enjoyment is deeper if you know
Yeah.
that.
It was a hip version of, let's say, Robert Altman's version of The Long Goodbye. It made a little bit more
But
sense.
once again,
Well,
I don't-
Long Goodbye
I don't
is-
have to see something else before. Should I see 2 movies before I go see it?
No. Just see it for what it
Just
is.
see it for what it
This
is.
takes me back to literature school classes in school, because they said this is an analogy for that, and I said, well, so what? I mean, maybe you know that. It's sort of like saying, I know a song has bits in it from other songs.
Well, it's to
but
follow
it's not
the
important.
thread.
But
Yes,
it's
it,
not-
well, of course, it's not important to enjoy the thing as a thing, but
Yeah.
if you follow the thread, it just gives you more juice.
Yeah.
If you know a little bit more about it, it gives you more juice. That's
Okay,
all.
the juice man on my right is Doug Fieger. Glad to see you. He's full of juice.
Thanks.
Because he gets everything. See, I don't get nothing. I'm not the intellectual like these 2 guys. And on his right, your left, Paul Bodie.
Hey, what's happening, man?
Hey, man. How's your hair going? You got hair now?
I'm having a bad hair day. That's all I can say.
We're having a no hair day.
No hair.
But you are growing the sides in a little bit. You were going.
Oh, no, I'm cutting it off. I just haven't had a chance.
Oh, okay.
You know, I'm cutting it off, yeah.
Well, it's growing in the back. You could grow like a ponytail.
No, I'm cutting it.
Teres bulba. You do the Teres
man.
bulba
It's
thing.
going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So this is Art Fine's Poker Party Company from Hollywood. With really nothing to talk about today because we're just going to wing it as usual. Paul, yeah, I'm not going to ask you about France. You going to France soon?
I am.
Okay.
Tuesday.
Are you really
By
big?
this
You're
time-
going to move there, right?
Well, not for full time. I couldn't do it. The weather would not permit me to move to Paris. But during the warmer times, yes, I like it.
See?
And you never get out of Paris, do you? You just,
Not often. I'm going to take the Channel
I mean, you
train.
don't get
I just like Paris.
Yes.
It's not that I don't like other parts of France, which I've been through. It's that I love Paris so much. But I'm taking the Channel to London for a day to pick up a couple of microphones and meet a couple
have
of
you heard about
publishers.
the mail service? Have you heard about UPS and stuff?
Yeah, but I'm getting a good deal. And
Oh,
I'm getting to take the Channel train, which is another
yeah, I
adventure.
wanna try that.
Now,
So
I
you
don't
sort of-
have to take the Channel train in order to go to London, but it's something that I would like to do, you know.
It leaves
No,
from
I
the
would-
Gare du Nord, right? Is that where it leaves from?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It does.
It's got a little logo.
Because that's where I used to stay,
logo
near there.
In the train station? Like
No, near
sleeping
there.
on the bench?
Near there on the Boulevard Magenta, which is my hangout.
Now, with 3 of us, were we in Paris together? We
Yeah.
weren't
No,
at
different
no,
times.
different times.
You guys were
I
there
was living
together,
there.
and I was there with you
Paul
at
was
a
there
different
for a
time.
whole month, and you were there for a better part of a
Yeah,
month. So.
3
And I'm the
months.
guy. And I'm the guy that doesn't really like it
See,
there.
see, I'm with my man here. See, when people say, why don't you go, so I said, no.
Why don't you? They say, why
Yeah,
don't you go?
They say, why don't you go to this
Cannes.
place? Why don't you go to this place?
Other
The
cities.
Loire
Other
Valley.
cities.
Yeah.
I said, no, I'm there, and I've been there a million times, and I haven't worn it out. Maybe after I wear it out, maybe, but I want to wear it out.
I wore it out after like 2 or 3
well,
weeks.
I mean, man, 'cause
Yeah, but you go someplace and you go, yeah, okay, now I've been there, but let's go somewhere else.
It's not exactly
I
true.
mean, man,
but
there is literally nothing. For me, there is nothing like it in the whole world.
you know what?
true.
Paul's never been in New York City.
Yeah, never been to the Apple.
Well,
yeah.
Have you? I never heard anything about you in New York City.
I like New York.
But I mean, no time spent, no.
Oh yeah,
life,
no, absolutely.
See,
I've lived there for months on end.
Yeah, I've
In
never-
the Mayflower Hotel.
I've been to Austin though, man. That's pretty cool.
Spoken as a true Westerner.
Oh man.
I like that.
I'm
Yeah,
a
I used to spend summers in New York when I was a kid at the Majestic, right across the street from the Dakota. My uncle has an apartment on the 4th floor of the Majestic.
You're a happening guy.
And when I was like 13,
Well, you know who has been to New York and is a happening guy too? Percy Sledge.
Percy
I'm
Sledge?
sure he's been to New York. And
think
we want
so?
to play a Percy Sledge song. Now, we're certainly not going to play When a Man Loves a Woman.
No.
Previous show we played Dark End of the Street. This other one is cut number. I can't quite read this. You know, I'm not going to name the record company in this case because they're very good to me. But this is a good example of how horrible a record, a CD. I'm going to show you what can be wrong. What can be wrong? There wasn't complete lighting when I was trying to read the titles. They're all the same size. They run together, and there's black on blue.
Well, it's a design thing.
It's a design thing made to not be friendly to your eyes.
Well, not to so we say people who are like maybe reaching that half a century.
No, that's not friendly to anybody.
Right.
It's well.
But you know, kids can see things
this isn't
differently
unique.
than
Yeah,
we do. When they're used to seeing it in that flashy,
black
weird...
on dark blue requires lights like this.
I give up. I buy these things. I give
Anyways,
up.
wonderful record, wonderful company. They made a mistake. They're entitled, like most.
So what are you going to play?
We're going to play "Can't Be Stopped." It was a
Oh,
single
yeah,
I had for a long time.
It's a
I never
heavy
had
one.
it. It's a great
It
song. It's
Can't
very
Be
unusual, and it's a later Percy Sledge record. Let's take it away, Percy Sledge. From where? I don't know. Where's it from?
Like a little raindrop leaves a cloudy sky. It falls till it kisses the ground. I'm falling fast, and I need you bad, and I'm too close to turn around. Like a mighty storm shakes the tallest tree that grows on the mountain top. There's a mighty big love that's moving me, and baby, it can't be stopped. Can't be stopped. Can't be stopped. Oh, it's like trying to change night into day.
It can be stopped. We're stopping it right now. Pick up this fabulous
one.
best of Percy Sledge album.
This is very cool.
And,
Very cool.
Wonderful song. And what we said, we were talking about the comparisons, Percy Sledge to
Gary
Gary
Brooker?
Brooker from Procol Harum.
Yeah.
Who made that comparison?
Oh no, there was. I remember when Whiter Shaded Pale first came out.
That
how
it
people-
was A Man Loves a Woman
Yeah.
rewritten in
Yeah.
psychedelic
Yeah.
terms.
And plus Gary Brooker's vocal style. But
Very
like I said,
much.
I have like some things that he did in like '62 or '63, where that's the way he sounded. You know, he's just that's the way he sounded.
And then there's a string that we were talking about. I've seen a string between Procol Harum and the band.
And the
Yeah.
band,
Which
well,
you can't really comprehend it looking at him, but
Well,
it really is
well,
that.
oh,
well-
absolutely. A piano and an organ.
Yeah.
On one's on one side of the stage, the other's on the other, and they play this kind of roots music.
Well, you don't know that. Most people only know the Procol Harum did Whiter Shade of Pale.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
But they did a lot more.
Oh, absolutely.
A lot of great
You know,
stuff.
Absolutely.
And
most people only know the band did Up on Cripple Creek,
Or
too.
the Weight
you know,
or
the,
something like that.
well, a lot of people don't even know the Weight,
Yeah,
you know?
Wow. But
You know.
plus they had these two drummers who played these. Their whole sound was really dark. Helms sounds really dark, and
BJ.
BJ Wilson.
Although
sound,
BJ
yeah.
didn't play on Whiter Shade of Pale.
No, he's not on White.
He's
Shade
not
of
on
Pale.
Whiter Shade of Pale. As a matter of fact, it's only Gary Brooker and Matthew Fisher
Yeah.
on that one
It was a whole
record.
other-
They're an amazing band. One of the great records in the rock era, as far as I'm concerned, is Shine On Brightly. And because it had
It's an
no
album,
hits,
right?
it's an album.
Yeah.
It had no hits from it, at least in America.
But
Gets short shrift, but boy, oh boy, it's
Yeah.
a great record.
BJ Wilson's probably one of the greatest rock and roll drummers
I
ever.
agree. And a really nice guy.
Yeah, sweet guy. And
Really,
like somebody
really
once
nice
said, he sounded like he looked like an octopus in a bathtub.
Yeah.
Because
Well, he sat low.
He sat low.
He sat very low, and he
and
played
and
like
he would
up.
play.
It was very odd.
And you hear all these sounds because he was the king of the cowbell. That was his. And you hear all this sound, and you say, "How's this guy doing this, man?" And you know, he was just.
I saw them twice at the Grande Ballroom when I was a kid, and they were as good live, if not better, than they were on the
No,
record.
no, I mean they were like one of the great unsung rock and roll bands. You know,
Procol Harum.
Procol Harum. Let's hear it for them.
Actually, I'm going to do Rip Masters' act for him now because it's his story. But he went to the Murray the K show and saw them or something in New York in '66 or '7 or '8, something like that. And he said, and he had some kind of backstage
68,
access, so he went backstage, and he went and talked to the manager who he saw in the hall, and the manager said, "How did you like the show?" And Rip said, "Oh, it was great. I had a real nice time." He says, "Would you please go tell the band they're killing each other right now over how bad they were?" So he went in and settled the fight. But I guess you know that story.
No.
I mean, I guess you know that sort of story.
Oh, well, kind of, I guess.
See, man, they should have more.
We were killing each other for other reasons.
See, rock and roll that's what it should be. It should be all reviews. Like everybody comes on and do like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
See, like the Elvis show.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the way.
2 songs.
Two
you're out.
songs. Okay, next.
Well, it used to be. I mean, there
Yes.
used to be a review. Basically, like the Motown review was like that.
Yeah.
You know? And if you were a really big band, you got 4 songs.
Yeah, you got 4 songs, man. I mean,
Supreme's
who,
got 4
Who
songs.
needs to see somebody for 3 hours? See.
This reminds, well, on the opposite side of that, I might remind people that in LA in the 70s, the Troubadour, well, up until 73, the Troubadour was the main showcase for every new act and
Right.
every major act.
Yeah.
And the deal was that they would run their show, the same act 6 nights a week.
Right. Yeah.
With Mondays for the Hoot Night.
Yeah.
And you want to see Percy Sledge? He'll be there Tuesday through Sunday.
For 6 nights.
It's so wonderful because
Yeah.
if you like
3
somebody, I mean, if you really like somebody, and you should really like somebody, you go there and see them 5 times.
3 nights.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, that's a
And on
magic.
Friday-
That's a magical LA thing too.
It did happen. Well,
You
it's
know.
like Zappa at the Roxy. He played for 4 nights, and I went all 4 nights.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
In '75 or something like that.
70, no, it was before that because the album Live at the Roxy came out in '76.
Uh-huh.
So it had to have been at least the year before, if not
Uh-huh.
2 years before.
I was there
that.
snapping pictures. I remember.
Yeah, boy,
Wonderful.
and they were all different. Every show
And that was an
different.
unusual thing. The Roxy helped kill the Troubadour because the Roxy gave all these
Until the
all
Troubadour
these,
came back. It
Yeah.
did come back.
Never really came back. But I'm just saying that the Roxy helped kill the Troubadour because it offered people 1 or 2 night stands
Yeah.
as in a prestige location.
Right.
But the Troubadour was magic. I mean,
Yeah.
and then you worked the door, so you saw everybody.
I saw.
Or you saw all 12 shows.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Of a lot of
like
people.
when Miles Davis played, I saw every show, and Willie Nelson. I never forget Willie Nelson playing. And on Friday nights and Saturday nights, you did 3 shows.
Oh, really?
And, Willie Nelson shows.
By
were
the way,
like-
they all got $200 a week, no matter who they
Yeah,
were.
and Willie Nelson played.
Which made them kind of want to go to the Roxy for a little more money.
Yeah. And seeing Willie Nelson played, like his shows were like 2 hours long.
Yeah.
So I remember the last show started at 2.
Uh-huh.
And he nothing phased him. He just kept going. He did his show. We got out of there like at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you weren't there for the Springsteen night, right?
No, because I had to work that morning, so I wasn't there. But I heard.
'Cause he
But
went
I was
on-
there. I was there for the sound check.
He went on at 2 a.m., which is really
Yeah.
unusual for that place. And,
For LA at all.
Yeah, yeah. And it was very exciting. I mean, having certain people you see at the beginning and then you don't care anymore because it was so much fun at the beginning.
Yeah.
With Springsteen. And,
Well,
I
Linda
saw him
Ronstadt,
opening for
saw.
Dr. John at the
At the Santa Monica Civic. Yeah.
It was a real lightning bolt. And
Which
then
is that same. It was that same. It was that same
73
week,
or
I
4, I
think.
don't remember. And same week probably, yeah.
Yeah.
And then he played the Troubadour at 2 a.m. till 4:30 or something like that, and it was just a blast.
No, I was there. I was sweeping up when he was doing his sound check,
Yeah.
and it was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I'll catch it next time.
But Springsteen used to jump, different people used to jump on stage with the Knack before they were signed. Well, I guess they
Yeah.
still did afterwards too, but when the Knack was the hottest thing in town before they got signed
Bruce
to Capitol.
came up on stage with us.
Springsteen joined who else?
Eddie Money, Tom Petty, Stephen Stills.
Yeah.
The first was Ray Manzarek, and that was, in a lot of ways, the most fun and most thrilling for me
Mhm.
because we got to do Doors songs. I know you love
Yeah.
those songs. But we got to do, I mean, we did Soul Kitchen, and we did Love Me 2 Times.
You got to understand that it was the height of the disco era, and other music wasn't, rock and roll wasn't. Well, there was a lot of punk around, but
Oh, yeah.
as far as like some kind of identifiable rock and roll, the Knack
Well,
was a beacon of clarity in a muddled
And the Troubadour was
in a-
completely dead.
in a muddled
at that
time, yeah.
The Troubadour was completely dead, and we would pack it, right? I mean, every time we played, and we played there. Doug had us there many, many, many times.
Yeah.
never paid us a dime.
Is that right?
We didn't even get the $200. We didn't.
Because you're a local band. with no-
Yeah, didn't make a dime,
Yeah.
but we could play there pretty much anytime we want. And he gave us his office as our dressing room.
Yeah.
That was pretty good. God rest his soul.
I remember going to a party for you guys after one of your shows. It was a Friday night, and it was up at this guy's house who lived across in the Whiskey. And I never forget, his name was Mike, or Michael, or something like that.
Oh yes, yeah, absolutely. I do.
And
remember
he
that.
had a girlfriend named Sandy Kahn.
That's right, Sandy Kahn.
Sandy-
Little Sandy Kahn.
Little
Oh,
Sandy.
yeah.
Little Sandy.
All right.
And
Small
I
and-
never forget, he had a jukebox in his house. I said, this guy,
That's
Yeah.
it,
this
huh?
is the
I
kid to
remember
sing,
that
man.
party,
Yeah.
as a matter of fact, sure. Yeah.
You know, this reminds me of something else. When the LA Style magazine, I wrote some stuff for them. And one time the guy said, go out and write a story about the 60s. I said, well, I wasn't here, but I'll write it anyways. You know, I'll try to do what I can. And I wrote about, it says, talk to famous people. Well, you know, I don't know any famous people, but I'd call some people and get stories that seem to symbolize what the 60s were about. And this harks back to something neither of you were on the show when we were talking about the Beach Boys movie and how movies
Didn't
that
see
now look back on a year, let's say 1970 or 69, portray everyone. Everybody's got headbands and fringe coats, when in fact it was like 2%. I mean, it wasn't 5%, that would be too high. And how the distorted reality of it
Well,
is
it's
being
like,
brought to us.
it's like okay, say if you do a movie about 64, when the Beatles came, are they gonna, every kid has a Beatle haircut.
Never happened.
and that never
Nobody
happened.
had a deal like
That
that.
never
Nobody's
happened.
parents would let them have it.
That never happened. It was
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
And it happened too fast for your hair to get good in the back.
yeah. I mean, it was just kids. Although there was a total sea change from the Friday before they were on the Sullivan Show to to
Monday
that
when you
Monday.
went back
It was
to
a totally different change. But we still weren't hip enough. I mean, well,
to do
I
anything,
wouldn't
or
able
not
to do
able to
haircut
do
anyway.
anything.
I think I
But-
said in another show where I was curiously wearing the same clothes. It was odd, but
20 years ago.
yeah, probably.
Yeah.
30 years ago, actually, it would be.
Yeah.
The only movie that I can think of that when you look at it now, it doesn't seem goofy and, like hokey and dated, of capturing the time is Performance for that psychedelic era
Performance. See, like you said,
Hippie-
performance
thing.
isn't dated. See, that's the main
At
thing.
all.
Because
But-
there's nothing in it that.
But even the clothes and,
but see, that's what I'm talking about, man. They were hip. I mean, I don't know.
well,
if
they
were
did
hip
it
or
at
not.
that. It was
Yeah,
it was
they
being
did it
done
at
at that time. But
And-
even films that were done during the
Or
time that they
awful,
were
or
doing were
look
you
totally
know,
dated.
like The Trip,
Yeah,
if you've ever
all that-
seen
yeah.
it. And it was being done when the things were
Yeah, but-
actually happening
yeah.
on the Sunset Strip,
But I was doing this trying to get the feel of 1968 or something from their various people I interviewed, and I talked to one guy and he said, well, I was at a party when the Doors finally got 4 matching suits. It was 66 or 7
Wow.
that they went to Zeidler and got some sharp looking suits, and he says that's the difference between 66 and 67,
Yeah.
because that was like 66, maybe, if that's possible. Is it chronologically
Yeah,
possible?
they started in '65.
It says that, and that's what happened within 2 years, between 65, 6, and 7. By 67, everybody's wearing thrift store stuff and peasant outfits, and all vestiges of dress up had disappeared.
I mean, everybody was just dressing more in the visual. Nobody was wearing suits except the Motown.
Paul, you
acts.
going to bring a picture of yourself from the 60s? You got any you could bring in?
God, I don't. I have one.
Do you have a big shock of hair?
No, well, it's just beginning. I have one that was taken, I'm pretty sure, the night I went to see the Doors at my high school.
Uh-huh.
I'm pretty sure that's when it was taken.
We'll bring it in. Let's not talk about the
Yeah.
picture. You can bring it in some. Well, you look the same, so there's nothing to see.
have a
There's
picture, right.
Nothing funny
I
looking
was
about
wearing
you there. You're
this.
funny looking now. So we're talking about the 60s. Let's go to 1954 or so now.
Oh.
And we're going to
That's
talk
a
about
good year.
disc one. Disc one is what we call it here on the Drifters. And that cut would be, well, what you're going to do is a good cut, number 12. It's Clyde
the singer?
McPhatter
Clyde.
with the Drifters. Let's take a listen. It's a non-video, nothing to look at. Don't have any 60s music. The Drifters.
Now what you gonna do about a 8:30? What you gonna do about a 8:30? It would knock me out. That's a great Saturday. You know you're
You're so
Lordy, look at there.
Look at there, look at there.
Yes, you're so pretty.
You're so pretty.
Lordy, look at there.
Look at there, look at there.
Just strutting down the street.
Just strutting down the street.
Long black wavy hair.
Black wavy hair.
Now what you gonna say if I hold your hand? What you gonna say if I hold your hand? Will you look me in my eyes and say I'm your lover man? Hey, 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 we're gonna reel, gonna roll, gonna dance, drink, have a ball. What you gonna do?
That was sudden.
Oh,
They
fly.
fade fast.
Whew.
And that stuff, I don't know. Didn't read. I should read the liner notes before I talk about it. But a lot of that Atlantic stuff was actually just they shoved the desks out of the way up at the Atlantic offices. Like, Big Joe Turner, Shake, Rattle, and Roll was recorded under those circumstances. I mean, just bring the mics in. And
Wow.
shove it, so recorded up in somebody's office.
Wow, see?
Make a great record with a microphone in the middle of the room.
Don't need a lot of
man.
stuff,
Don't
man.
need a lot of
Don't need a
stuff.
lot of time.
If the band's cooking, that's what Jimmy Miller said.
It's got to be 3 minutes of heaven
That's
for those
it.
45s,
What were
man.
you saying the last time that when you were recording Jimmy Miller he was actually nearby? Well, your first time when you went in '70 when you went to
London. He was in
London.
the studio next door recording Sticky Fingers with the Stones.
Uh-huh.
And he would come in and he produced 2 tracks on that
That was
album.
for
He
your
executive produced.
That was your band Sky.
Right. band
On
called
RCA.
Sky.
So did you stick your head in there?
I never met Keith.
Yeah.
I met Mick.
Yeah.
I met Charlie. I saw Bill.
Didn't you keep a correspondence up with somebody?
No, I that's how I got to be there. I wrote Jimmy Miller a letter. That's
Yeah.
how I actually got there.
Uh-huh.
And he answered it, which was like, something.
But there's no Pete Townsend thing that I'm
Oh
thinking
yeah,
of?
well that's
what I'm
a
thinking
true fact too.
What is that?
Well, we had opened shows. Sky in Detroit had opened shows for the Who a number of times, and backstage we talked, and I was a young kid, and we sent him a demo tape, which was quite bad, and very derivative of the Who as well.
You got a song like that on your new album.
Well, we have a lot of derivative. I always thought the Knack was very Who derived,
Uh-huh.
whereas
Well, what
most.
song am I talking about? I wish I had it here.
Well, Pop is Dead
Okay.
is definitely a Who
Yeah.
kind of, and they even did a
That's
song
on the
called
new-
Rock is Dead.
and that's
so-
the new
Long
the
live
recent
rock.
Knack.
Rock, yeah.
The recent
was it
Knack-
Long Live Rock?
Long live rock.
It's Long Live Rock.
Yeah.
Not Rock is Dead.
No,
Yeah, it's Long Live-
yeah, with the great bass thing. I mean, it was
and
playing
whistle.
his ass
So
off.
anyhow,
We're talking about the new Knack album, by the way, Zoom,
Zoom,
newest.
newest.
Okay. So yeah, there you were. You sent him a
So-
bad demo.
And years later, I'd split up from my girlfriend, living in the basement of a guy's house whose brother is the business manager of the Who. He's talking on the phone with some guy one day when I go upstairs to see him. He says, "Oh, somebody wants to say hi to you." I get on the phone, and it's this unmistakable voice. "Hi, Doug. How you doing?"
It's Townsend.
And it's
Wow.
Townsend. And "Hey, how you doing?" I said, "Do you remember me?" He says, "Oh yeah, of course." Pick me up, and he starts singing
Wow.
a Sky song.
Wow.
And I just
Yeah.
lost
Wow.
it.
Yeah,
I
I'll
lost
bet.
it. And then even after that, he came to America to promote Who Are You? Right before Keith died. And he was up in San Francisco, and a friend of mine lived up there and called me up and said, "Townsend's," he was on TV and on a morning show, says, "Townsend's talking about you on TV."
Wow.
It was amazing. He was saying, "Yeah, there's this kid in LA who's got this band called the Knack, and I've known him since he was like a little kid."
Yeah.
And he's
Wow.
Wow.
very cool.
I had a similar thing when in '84, right after LA Rockabilly came out, and I dropped off a packet over at Ringo's, suggesting that Ringo do a Rockabilly album. And I dropped a packet off with the LA Rockabilly album that I produced for Rhino, and said, "Hey, you ought to be doing this stuff." So that's it at his lawyer's office. That was like in July. And then in January, I got this call. "Hello, Art, this is Ringo." I said, "Yeah, okay, who's this?" And they says, "No, it's Ringo." And I said, "Right. It sounds like a trunk call." He says, "Is this Ted Carroll? Are you kidding?"
Right.
"No, it's Ringo. Really, it's Ringo." I said, "No, yeah. Who is it?" And then we went for 5 minutes like that.
Right.
And I said, he says, "Yeah, how's Ray Campy? Is he falling off his bass still?" And I knew that Ringo was a Rockabilly Ray
Right.
Campy fan. I said, "Yeah." So we set up to produce a record, and it never happened.
Wow.
But it was a good try. Oh, wait a second. I got another name drop right now. I talked to Pauline Kael yesterday.
What?
Pauline Kael
Wow.
called me yesterday.
The
For what?
Citizen Kane book.
Yeah.
Have you ever read the Citizen Kane
No, I
book by
haven't read
her?
that.
Why did Pauline
Pretty
Kael
deep.
call you?
Because I gave her some videotapes through our friend Dennis. I sent her some videotapes of Sister Rosetta Tharpe.
Oh, wow.
And she's a huge Sister Rosetta
Well,
Tharpe
they did
fan.
a
I'd
big
never seen
thing
her.
on.
And so
Wow.
she called me to thank me last night.
They did a big special on gospel on PBS recently.
Really?
And had a lot of Sister Rosetta.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I gotta
I-
know about that.
Yeah.
Wish we had some Sister Rosetta
Wow.
Tharpe. By the way,
Very
you can
deep.
just take our words for it that Sister Rosetta Tharpe, Tharpe, recorded gospel in the late 40s and recorded jump gospel in the early 40s.
With
It was a-
with a
She can do no wrong.
With an SG guitar.
Wow.
Oh,
Oh,
she's
boy.
She's
It was
everything
deep.
It
was
was evil
brilliant.
sounding, man.
deep, deep
She just
stuff.
picks a guitar like,
Oh.
you know,
Well,
She had a
South-
3-pickup white SG.
Wow.
SG.
Well,
That's
it's
a Gibson.
a Gibson
Yeah.
guitar.
See, even
Very
an old,
cool.
An old drummer like me knows that. Well, Solomon Burt called me up. That was
Is that
the
right?
hip- yeah, that was the hippest thing that ever happened to me.
And why is that? Did he borrow money? Because
No.
Because they kicked him out of that
No.
church down south.
Somebody was working with him and said, "Hey, Paul Bodie is a big fan of yours."
Oh wow, cool.
And he said, "Hey, Paul, this is Solomon Burt." I said, "No, come on, man." He said, "No, man." So I talked to him for a few minutes. It was-
Did you ever go down to his church down at?
no, I never went to his church.
Because I know when I called there a year ago, here later after the church thing, and I said, "Is Solomon Burke there?" He says, "No. Do you know where he is?" So, I don't know what that means. Maybe the guy he may have needed or need ordaining or something. It could have been that or something
Oh
else. I
boy,
don't know.
have
So,
mercy, baby.
Have mercy. If you have the Percy Sledge
And the Rolling
thing,
Stones did that one.
that was
No, that was
Flip
no,
that one on.
No, that's Mercy Baby. Wait, what? Yeah,
like
yeah.
cut 5.
Yeah, but what I was thinking of.
I know.
See, they did have Mercy. but,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, well, the
Different
Dominoes
version,
did
different
on King or Federer or something like that. That's why it's not on there. All right, It Tears Me Up, Percy Sledge. Percy Sledge is the greatest. I don't think I've ever seen him. He probably played the Troupe, didn't he?
No,
I never
no,
did.
he didn't ever play.
All right, the guy that made When a Man Loves a Woman, It Tears Me Up is the name of this cut. And thanks for watching, if you're still watching. Or listen, if you're not watching. Just listen. It Tears Me Up, cut 5. Cut 5 on the great Best of Percy Sledge album on Atlantic.
Go out and get it.
No, don't go out and get
Oh,
it.
don't
It's
go
public
out and get it.
access.
Don't go out and get it.
Take it out of the library.
Take it out. Check it out.
Check it out of the library and don't return.
All the way.
I see you walk with him. I see you talk